know how confusing it can be when you're faced with two very similar vessels, which is why we have decided to put together some information to help with some of the key differences between canoes and kayaks. So hopefully you'll be able to figure out which one will be right for you. There are basically two different types of kayak, a sit inside and a sit on top. Within these types there are then different designs depending on what they are intended to be used for. But all kayaks have one thing in common. They all have a double-bladed paddle, one blade on each end. This style of paddle means you're using less energy when paddling, compared to most canoes, as you're not having to move the paddle from alternate sides that head in a straight line. However, some canoe paddles are available in a double-bladed design. A sit-inside kayak is the more traditional of the two types, featuring an enclosed cockpit where the paddler sits. This design means you sit lower. The single paddler's legs and lower body are situated within the hull and closed deck of the kayak and are covered to protect from water. A spray skirt can be added for additional protection to prevent water entering the cockpit, something you tend to see on a sea kayak or expedition kayaks. From the early kayaks being used for hunting and the transportation of people and goods, modern kayaking has come a long way and has been steadily gaining in popularity in recent years. A special report, published in 2015, found that kayaking had become the most popular form of paddling in the USA, with 13 million Americans participating in kayaking compared to 10 million Americans taking part in canoeing. There are many different types of kayaking and each will require a certain type of kayak. Sit-inside kayaks are often used for rougher conditions and for longer journeys, such as sea kayaking. They are also better equipped to deal with colder conditions, as you won't get as wet if you have a spray deck attached to your cockpit. Other sports also use sit-inside kayaks, such as canoe polo, which is, in fact, played in a kayak with a double-bladed paddle and not, as the name would suggest, in a canoe. Touring kayaks and racing kayaks will generally be long, narrow vessels with a close design for improved speed, with touring kayaks offering a high level of storage space for as much gear as you need. But they generally have a lower load capacity than canoes. Sit-on-top recreational kayaks are designed to be easy to use on calm water, with an open deck, and are ideal for beginners, as there are less technical skills to master and good initial stability. Unlike the sit-inside touring kayaks that require you to either perform an Eskimo roll or wet exist if you capsize, with a sit-on-top kayak you will simply fall off and should be able to climb back on. They tend to let you sit higher on the deck too, for a better view. Canoes are designed with a completely open top, unlike a sit-inside kayak. The tall sides of the canoe, although relatively short compared to other boats, come up out of the water, creating more of a traditional boat appearance. The upper edge of the sides or gunwales can vary by hull design. They have a flat bottom and can be great for a calm lake, slow-moving rivers, and other calm waters, such as sheltered coastal areas. A canoes will often have bench seats at either end, offering two seats, with one close to the bow and the other close to the stern, so when there are two people paddling they are positioned one in front of the other. Canoes tend to be larger and heavier than kayaks and can be more difficult to transport, unless of course you're paddling it. On the other hand, it can be easier to portage a canoe than a kayak. Traditionally, canoes, often a dugout canoe like the oldest canoe, were used as a mode of transportation, whether it was carrying gear or people. But now they are not only used as a means of travel, but they are also used in a range of sports and activities. Although reports suggest that between 2010 and 2014, there was a slight decline in the number of people canoeing, there were still 10 million people in the USA participating in canoeing in 2014. Canoes are popular in slower-moving water, such as rivers and lakes, and are good for exploring with your family since they have good initial stability. They are ideal for family camping trips and they are stable enough that capsizing is quite difficult. Even kids can very comfortably help paddle. They aren't so good in open conditions. Wind resistance isn't an asset for canoes, unfortunately, and they tend to move at a slower pace. Canoe or kayak? Kayak or canoe, what's the difference? Well, one of the key differences between canoes and kayaks is the appearance. Canoes tend to be larger than recreational kayaks, which may make them more difficult to transport. But you could always get an inflatable canoe or lightweight canoe if that was an issue between canoeing or kayaking. Kayaks are designed to be portable, especially inflatable kayaks, and there are many different styles of kayak compared to a canoe. If you're looking to get involved in different sports, there is a lot more choice available for kayakers, as long as you have the right type of kayak. Whether you opt for a kayak or a canoe is really up to your personal preference. Each one has its own benefits, depending on what you're planning to use it for. Canoe enthusiasts love the fact that they are great for loading them up with lots of gear and heading out exploring or camping. You can carry more people, kids and dogs in your canoe than you can with most kayaks. You also don't need to learn as many technical skills to paddle a canoe as you would to paddle a kayak. Once you've got the hang of paddling a canoe, you're pretty much set. Now it's your turn. Which one impresses you the most? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, do share and subscribe to our channel for further video notifications.